Okay,
Just
yeah.
to throw it on.
Okay,
Um,
good.
but I mean, I say let's dive in a few minutes. I'm just going to share on Twitter and let some people jump in here, and then let's dive in because distractions are huge. I mean, I got distracted a couple times today myself. So
Well, you weren't alone. I can promise you that because I got distracted quite a few times today.
yeah, and we got distracted a couple times together.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
um, all right.
I think it happens to everybody.
It does happen to everybody. That's
It
why we're
does.
talking about it.
Hey, bingo. That's right.
So, um, cool. Do you guys want to share with your networks? Do you want to share on Twitter?
Yeah, I just shared, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. Tell a little birdie.
Yeah. Let me put my glasses on so I can see.
And let's kick it off in a second because sometimes on Blab it takes people a few minutes just to trickle into the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to just Periscope really quick and just say we're live.
Amazing.
If
Yeah,
anybody
that'd
wants
be
to jump
great.
on. So be prepared to tell us what the best part of your day was because I am going to ask you guys that. So I'm just giving you a small heads up for any of our introverts, like we already said, right? I'm giving you a heads up. I'm going to be asking what the best part of your day was. So get prepared to actually speak on that.
Got it.
Okay.
I decided I wouldn't spring that on you.
Oh, I got a good one too.
Oh, good.
I bet you do.
A good and short one, right?
I'm sure you
Is that a
do,
hint? Is
considering.
that a wink,
That's a
wink?
hint. A good and
You know, you
short
can
one.
like talk and wink. I'm like, wink, wink.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I think guys have like perfected that.
I think so too. What, the wink and talk?
Yeah.
Although that could be pretty creepy also.
Mine feels delayed.
The emoji was made for them.
Exactly.
Did it rain there today in New York, Rhea?
It's still raining.
Is it really? Yeah. Well, it's not raining here, but it's really foggy.
Yeah, it's been raining here all day. It's cold. I had gloves on. I had a scarf. I actually had like no umbrella walking back home today. And so I was
Oh
like all
no.
wrapped up like Mother Teresa.
Where
With a
was your
beautiful
umbrella? You didn't bring it?
I had a beautiful paisley scarf, but I looked like Mother Teresa. If that gives you a visual of just what I was looking like.
So guys, I'm gonna blab, and actually I'm blabbing now, just to let you know that the blab is pointed on you guys because we're gonna
You're periscoping?
yeah, I'm actually periscoping right now. So hey
Okay.
Periscope, we are live here on blab.im. And so we're basically saying, where are you? Because we're live and we're having a great session on here between the three of us so far. So hey Brian, hey Junior, if you guys want to jump on with us, we're just diving into basically distractions. So we were just recapping how we've all been distracted at some point today, and we are sure you probably have been as well. So we're talking about how to avoid them. I'm going to flip the camera around. There we go. That's better. Hey guys. So yeah, we're diving in on Blab, talking about distractions. We're going to list some of the common distractions that all take us away from our work, from all the things that we have to do. Because I know that if you guys are like us, you're on big hustles, and so you have to get a lot done. But there's life as well, right? We have kids, we have coworkers, you have phone calls, emails, other people that you care about in your life that actually are all screaming for a little bit of your attention and a little bit of your time. But sometimes those can really look like ugly, nasty little distractions, right? So they're shaking their head in the blab session, right? So we don't want that to happen. Thank you so much for the hearts. I appreciate it. If you've been distracted at least one time today by an email, a phone call, a knock at your door, if you live down south like I do, give me some hearts. If you've been distracted one time, right? Hey, Nika Stewart, thank you so much for jumping on. I love your blabs. You're always giving great information. So I definitely appreciate the info that you bring. Helpful people here on Periscope and Blab and all that is always awesome. So thanks for joining us tonight. So guys, if you haven't been on Blab yet, jump on. Where are you? Blab.im. All you have to do is go out there to blab.im, log on with your Twitter handle. Okay, it's really simple. If you don't have a Twitter, make one. It'll take you 2 seconds. Jump on with us. You can just look for us at Butterflies Do It. So at Butterflies Do It, that's where you can find us. And again, I told you, we're talking about tuning out the distractions and turning on the motivation, okay? Success tips so that you can further hack your hustle, right? Hey, Phil, how are you? Thanks for jumping on and happy December 1st. All right, so we got some more people jumping on Blab with us. So we're going to get started in just a second. Phil, I'm not sure if you're back in St. Lucia yet, but if you are, welcome back. So, yep, look for at Butterflies Do It on Blab. That's where we'll be hanging out for like the next hour or so. So jump on in. And we earlier on our earlier Periscope, we were saying if you have great tips on how maybe you manage your time and distractions with, you know, things like ADHD or ADD or something like that, or you have some cool tips that you want to just throw into the picture, jump on and jump into our hot seat so you can share it with us, okay? So share this Periscope, guys, so other people can know about it and join us over on Blab, all right? So I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to get on the Blab, and I hopefully will see you on there, okay? Because we're all live. I'll show you a quick little picture. All right, so Mom and Aria, you guys are here, right? Aria
Yep,
just
I'm
jumped
here.
out. Mom's here.
Yeah, she did. I'm here.
So, guys, we'll see you on there. We got to fill this thing up. Good tips to bring, okay? So,
Yeah, definitely will fill the room.
Say hey, Ria, to Periscope. Hey, Ria.
She's back.
Oh, she can't hear me.
Hey, I
That's
didn't
one
know if
thing
I was
that
breaking
this
up,
thing's
and
not
I just
working.
wanted to ask you guys because sometimes I switch between networks.
Nope. You're
Do I
perfect.
sound really clear? Okay. The minute I don't sound clear, I'm going to switch to a new network. Can you guys just be the gauge and tell me?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Perfect.
All right, guys. So, and we'll see you over on Blab.
What is that noise? Okay.
It was over on Blab, and I took out my my headphones. So, we'll flip back around. Okay. Guys, we'll see you over on Blab. Thanks for joining us on Periscope. That was a little bit confusing, so sorry about that. But let's jump on over to blab.im so we can dive into these distractions and how to avoid them so we can have productive, awesome work days. Okay? Bye, guys.
Right.
Okay.
I don't even know if you knew that I was on there with you, but
So, guys, no, I actually
Hey,
didn't.
Mom.
I didn't think you did.
Now, just to let you know.
I'm hearing like a major delay.
Are you?
Hey, Brian, thanks for jumping on. That was a quick turnaround.
Dejan? Yeah? Dejan?
I can hear you.
Dejan?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you perfectly. Mom, can you hear Ria?
I'm hearing.
I can hear her fine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Like you guys were just going totally out for me, and I know it's just me. It seems like every time I'm in the seat, sometimes I don't know what the deal is really, but I'm gonna change to another network.
Okay.
For my Wi-Fi because I have no idea.
I don't know.
As you guys know, I'm literally on the best island ever.
I was about to say,
here
what
in
happened to what the New York fabulous connection?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
But you know what? You know what?
I really don't.
All in the name of distractions, right? Because that's exactly what this is, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. So
Maybe so.
Definitely.
Maybe so. I'm going to switch to a new network just to see what happens. So give me 1 second. If you guys literally allow me 30 seconds.
Okay,
Let
we're
me
going to
just see
keep
if I can
talking
log on
while
to the
you
network.
while you work that out. So here's the thing, Mom, what's the best part about your day?
Oh my gosh, I think the best part about my day is this. I got a phone call from a friend of mine that I have not heard from in years. And it started off on Facebook, and I hadn't seen her on Facebook in a long time. And all of a sudden she was there and she commented on a post. And as soon as, I guess about 30 minutes later, the phone rang and it was her. And I haven't talked to her in a long, long time. So it was really, really good to catch up, right? Holiday time, that's kind of what we do, right? Friends and family. But I literally haven't talked to her in about probably 4 or 5 years.
Did you ask her where she's been the rest of the year?
Yeah, I did.
Just decided to call you on December 1st?
Well, I did. I asked her that and she asked me the same thing. And you know what? It's just our, sometimes that happens and you end up going in separate directions and then you come back together. And so we vowed not to let that happen again. But that was really a highlight of my day.
So that was like a highlight of
good.
your day and possibly like a welcome distraction?
It really was. Yeah, it was. Well, you know what? It was a distraction, Dejan, probably because we stayed on the phone for about 45 minutes to an hour, right?
Okay.
I had something else planned for that time period, but it's okay. Sometimes you have to do things like that and you get diverted, but it's all good. That was all worth it. So, yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
I didn't have any friends call me today, but that's fine because I probably text more than I actually talk on the phone to friends.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The best part about my day, I got most of the things done on my to-do list today. So I actually had a calendar. Thank you for the props, Brian. We made our calendar this weekend when we were all home together for everybody that's watching.
Right.
And I actually got everything done. So I was able to finish scheduling my blog post for the week. And I just, took care of some of like our housekeeping. So
that's good. I'm glad you did. It's great.
Love.
Yeah. I just kind of vowed to stay up as late as I have to tonight because I am going to accomplish that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Good job. Okay,
Yeah,
Leah, what was
cool.
the best part about your day? Mine wasn't that exciting, but it was good.
I'll tell you what, this is something that happens like kind of far and few between, I think. But as some of you guys know, on Friday, I am running a community event here in New York City to bring awareness or raise awareness around domestic violence and human trafficking in the United States, primarily New York City and the East Coast. Those of you that know me, you know that I do this regularly, but just today, somebody called me today and they said, hey, would you still like my help for this Friday? And a few weeks ago, I had just run the idea by him and asked him if he would mind moderating a certain portion of our program.
Okay.
And then I thought, wow, I never had time to really catch up with him, and I really kind of dropped the ball. And I just said, I'll just pick it up and I'll moderate that portion myself. And he called me today and said, I'm still available and I'm really excited about Friday. Do you still need me?
That is fantastic. That's good.
So I'm like, yes, I do need you. So
Yeah.
That idea of unsolicited help coming your way is absolutely amazing. And I was like, that's answered prayer. Best part of my day.
That's good. That's great.
Cool. Quick question. Are you guys actually going to stream that event?
You know what?
Because you should.
That would be a great idea. I don't think that we were planning. We usually don't stream it. We do record it. If I can find a way to have somebody stream it, like record it live for us, it kind of depends on the technology and the space, but I would love that.
Where's it going to be?
It's at Convent Avenue Baptist Church.
Okay.
In Harlem. And it's usually actually a really good event where we get a great amount of people who are from the age range of like 12 to like 85 years old.
We've awesome.
Had older people who have gotten up and spoken out about domestic violence, talked about conversations they want to have with young people, and they have asked us 1,000,001 questions about what is like modern day slavery and human trafficking. And so we have older people and younger people really kind of like fighting for the same cause and wanting to bring awareness to the community. It's pretty amazing, and it takes unique twists and turns literally every single time we hold an event. So I'm really excited about Friday.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. That is really good.
I wish I was going to be there to be a part of it, because everyone that I've been to has been like absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we have people on the sidelines. Valerie just jumped in. So, hey, Valerie, thank you for joining us. Brian is here. We also have Tora here. So let's dive into this whole idea about distractions, right? We just went over some of our distractions of the day, some of our highlights. Hopefully you guys had an awesome day also. So let's just talk about some of the things that definitely distract us that we know about. I'll throw that ball to Mom because we were kind of hashing this out earlier in the car. So what are some of the things that we just ran down that are distractions that pull us away from, our grind, whether it's for our own business, for entrepreneurs, or just from the work that we have to do with our jobs?
Oh my goodness. The list goes on and on and on. And I could go forever probably with that. But things like, I just mentioned phone calls that are unexpected. If you're at work, How about a meeting being called? You're sitting there trying to do what you have to do, and somebody calls a meeting, ad hoc meeting, you have no idea. Coworkers walking into your office, or coworkers walking into your space to either talk about nothing, which is okay sometimes, or to really talk about something, they've got a question or whatever, things like that. Or if you're home during the day, what about kids, right? Your kids, as much as we love our kids can be a huge distraction. I can count the amount of times that my youngest daughter will come and say, well, Mom, what about, my practice? Did you forget I've got practice? Or all of a sudden I've got a meeting at school. Can you pick me up at a different time than I had already planned, planned to pick her up? So kids can be a big, big distraction. Kids get sick. Kids want to interrupt. Every time you're on the phone, kids come around. So there are so many distractions. The doorbell ringing. Aria, over the weekend, we were all kind of hanging out downstairs, having a really good time. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. None of us were dressed except for Aria, and the doorbell rang. And we all kind of froze and thought, who's at the door? So distractions like that, right? Another time over the weekend, this is really good, but we got a call from some of our family who said, hey, I'm right around the corner. I'll be there in about 10 minutes. And we're going, really? But, in the end, it's all good, but it's still a distraction. So I could go on and on and on, but we all experience distractions. And, sometimes they're good, and sometimes they happen at the worst time. So I don't know. You may have some others, but those are the ones that come to mind.
No, those are excellent ones. Go ahead, ask it.
I just wanted to ask a question just to rewind a little bit. I think that everybody totally gets why we might be talking about distractions. It's something everybody can identify with. But I was just curious, we talk about topics really from A to Z. And we're usually talking to entrepreneurs, people who carry an entrepreneurial spirit. We're talking to small business owners. But tonight, I was just curious as to, why you guys think it's most important to talk about distractions.
You know what? I thought...
Why this? Why now?
Okay, sure. I'll answer it for me, Dejan. You may have a totally different answer, but for me, because it is December, the month of December, we know that our to-do list is already what it is for most of us, right?
Right.
But and so now it's the month of December, which just adds so many more items on that to-do list, and they can become distractions. I can tell you from, for myself, every single year, right? I try to plan it out so that I don't have, things that kind of happen unexpectedly, so that I can have every single thing planned. I plan when all the decorations are up. I can plan when all the cooking is done throughout the month. I can plan when the tree is up, all of that stuff. And I can tell you this too, that there has not been one year that everything goes as I planned. So for me, I thought it was a great topic during this month of December, because December is what it is. I love it. It's my favorite month. This is my favorite season. I love Christmas. I absolutely do. And
you guys don't even know. It's ridiculous.
But it can be chaotic. As much as I love it, distractions happen for me in December more than any other month of the year. So I'll step off.
I want to caution Brian, right, for giving you props for that, because Brian, you might be adding fuel to the fire without even knowing it. Because the next time we
Why is that, Rhea? I appreciate that, Brian.
Dejan is there in the house with her right now. She goes back to Savannah, I think, in a few days, right?
Maybe
Brian might be we're giving you props. Like, next time we come, she's going to have us on duty to, line banisters with decorations and garland and lights and things like that. So I caution you, Brian.
Yeah, it's about to be like...
You might be adding work to our plate.
It's okay. It's all right, because if I didn't do it, Aria, you would wonder what was wrong with me. And I can see that to you now. What is wrong, Mom? Are you sick? Are you okay?
Right. So, it's going down Macy style.
It's all good, Brian. I appreciate those props. Christmas is good.
So, all right, guys. So, all right. So we got all that under the way. I'm going to kick it off with our first distraction. You guys interrupt. That's how we roll. For everybody that's new here, we're mother and daughter. Our mom's down at the bottom. Me and my twin sister here on the left and right hand side at the top. So you guys jump in. We cut each other off. That's just how we do. But the most important thing is that we're going to deliver the information and get it to you guys. So, tell me if you guys are addicted, obviously, I'm sure you are, to your phone. Every place I go, when you don't have your phone, Okay, right. Like, or multiple phones with you.
Right.
Of course, you're addicted to your phone. How about this? Have you ever been looking for your phone and you're like, oh my gosh, where's my phone? I can't find it. And you're like, oh, my phone's in my hand. Right?
Yeah.
Done it.
Exactly. Hey, Kayla, thanks for joining us. So yeah, it's like totally a thing that can become a distraction and an addiction if we let it, right? And I think that's just the society that we live in. Everything's on our phone, our periscopes, our emails, everything that we do, our calendars, right? Our notifications, our Facebook. And that can be a really good thing, especially if you're like online marketers like we are. That's an awesome thing. I love that people are communicating on their phones. That can be a big advantage. But when we have to get things done, it can also be a slight disadvantage. So here's the thing that we have to do, I think, with our phones is we have to sometimes like breathe a little bit. And I think we honestly have to replace some of that like phone stuff with that real face-to-face connection. Okay. So everything doesn't have to be a social event, all online, all on our phone. This stuff can actually happen in person. You know, it's all about taking the time and finding what's going on with organizations that are right in your community, right? In Christmas time or holiday time, right? Hanukkah time, Kwanzaa time, all that. Those are all great times to kind of tap into events and things that are happening that you can actually take part of in person, right?
That's true. That's hard. That is so hard to do. And I can tell you for me anyway, oftentimes, I'll know about events and I will go because I have to go, but sometimes it's a real struggle to actually physically be somewhere that I think that I can do in another way. So that can be really, really tough. But once I get there, I'm glad that I'm there and I'll come back and say, oh my God, I had the best time. But, it's hard because these devices are traps. These are true traps. And that's, what you're saying sounds like the simplest thing, like, okay, so it's your cell phone, but, it's tough.
You need it. Like Tora said, you go back home and get that cell phone. Even if you're at your destination, you're like, oh no.
You got that right. Yes, Tora. Right. Yes, absolutely.
It's a huge deal. So here's another really good tip. If you think about productive things that you can do on your phone, so instead of playing games and like getting stuck on Candy Crush or anything, I don't know. I'm not a game person on my phone because I love work and I'm probably a little bit of a workaholic, but I'm usually finding productive things to do. So maybe that is like jumping on your Twitter and maybe you're doing something productive with your phone. At the end of the night, if you're just laying in the bed, maybe you're like building your friend list, maybe you're finding people that you can network with. Maybe you're just catching up and like doing your likes for the day, whatever it is. Maybe you can like schedule time and make sure that you're doing something productive rather than getting sucked into a game, right?
Right.
What do you guys think? Good tip, bad tip? What? I think it's a good tip, but
I think it's a good tip, but I also think that sometimes you need that release from that work world. And I know you're a workaholic, Aria, you're a workaholic, and I am a workaholic as well. But like, if I'm at the doctor's office and I'm, you go to the doctors, they put you in that exam room and you never know if you're going to be there alone for 5 minutes or 50 minutes. So a lot of times I will try not to do work during that time because when they walk in, you're like, oh, my phone, got to go. So sometimes that's a time for games. Sometimes you need that break away from your work. It's a stress reliever. So it's okay to play games as long as you're not doing it for, hours upon hours and, everywhere you go. And maybe that's because I got a little kid who's taught me all the games and they are fun. I do like them, but
exactly.
I can't say that I get hooked on them, but from time to time, it's a good thing.
Okay. Are you guys
you're laughing.
Now we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. It's funny because I think you guys can hear me better than I can hear you guys because I'm going in and out a little bit, but I can hear you. It's just like catching little things. Okay. But if you can hear me fine, I want to say something about that because I think as someone who's lived in New York for like almost a decade now, right? It's kind of crazy because I find myself doing the craziest things that like only like New Yorkers get away with, it feels like certain things New Yorkers do in public, like eating or breaking up with somebody on the phone, like all these public things that might happen. Whereas most people have like private spaces like cars to do them in. Right? We're always in these public spaces. I find myself in the doctor's office, like on my phone, and the doctor walks in, and like the first thing I want to talk about is like stress or something like that. And I'm like, oh, let me just put this email away. Right? Like you're always working, always on, all the time. And it's like there's like no excuse for it. And I think in many other cities, gotta have a higher level of consciousness. But in New York, I feel like I'm just like always on, always wired. And it's kind of weird. It's not really okay, so I'm not excusing it. But I'm like always distracted in that way. And I need to find a way to like get away from that, I think.
You know
I wish I had
actually
some kids to teach me games.
You know what? I like that one because we have opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right, we do, right? In a real way. Oh my goodness. Anything rude is acceptable for me to do, and like you're not able to do anything rude living in Savannah, Georgia.
No, I was just gonna say, like, we're twins for everybody that just joined the room. I don't know if you can hear each other. I can't hear Aria. Aria, I can hear your lips moving. I can see your lips moving, but I think there's a delay on your speech. So
there's a delay, but I can hear her fine.
Oh, okay. So we can read each other's mind, and I think she's switching network, so she'll jump back in. So anyway, I'm in Savannah, Georgia. My twin sister's in New York, right? And so the funny thing is, because we work from home and we're, always kind of attached to our phones, the things that we're used to doing in public are completely unacceptable in each other's environments. So she's used to being on her phone all the time. I'm on my phone all the time, but I know, like if I go to pay my water bill, which I live in a place where you physically have to go in and pay your water bill, okay? You cannot mail, you can mail in a check, okay?
A check, right.
All right. I would have to like look through 10 purses to find a check right now. But you have to actually, you have to walk into the location. You cannot call it in. You cannot do it online. And so when you walk in, there's a sign and it's like, please get off of no cell phones and line. And so it's like one of those things where it's like people are looking at you like you're rude, or even in the grocery store and things like that. So I think that's my time. I think just living in that location where I've learned to like chill on the cell phone a little bit, not check my Twitter and my Facebook everywhere I go. So maybe, I don't know. What about you guys on the side? Is it acceptable where you are, or do you try to balance like the rude factor with always being on your phone?
Well, Brian's in the DC area, right? So like,
yeah, Brian can do whatever he wants, probably.
Yeah, like, it's acceptable here, right? Yeah, but you know what? There are some apps that you can get that, there's apps that you can get that will shut your phone off or shut your Facebook off automatically. You can set it up for for different time periods to say, hey, during from 10 o'clock until 3 o'clock, it just shuts your Facebook down. So if you're that apt to grab this thing and you can't get away from it, but you have other obligations that you have to do, get those apps. They're pretty cool. I've never tried it, but I've heard, that they're really good. They're really cool. If you've got that habit and you need to break it, then let that app take the pain away for you.
Right. Or take the wheel, like Tora saying she has to not be on hers as much to keep from getting run over by everyone else looking down at their phones, like us in the mall and the grocery store.
Yeah, that's right.
Weird, because like everybody's looking down, right? You're like looking down and walking. You could walk through a complete crowd of people, but still be on your phone looking down. So, sorry,
that's right. You just watch feet. You just look at the feet.
Exactly.
Keep on going.
Okay, so what about this? Speaking of doing your phone and walking through crowds and doing everything else, multitasking, right? Multitasking is another big thing. Oh, Brian says,
as Brian is noticing right now.
I keep my phone at eye level when walking. Oh, you're one of those people. Like,
that works. Yeah.
He's like always walking with the selfie stick, right? Like it's right in front of me.
Interesting. Hey, whatever.
Gotta love that.
Whatever works. Okay, so multitasking, right? So like all of us do so well. We multitask with everything, right? And so I don't know. There could be a debate. Women could do this a lot better than men. No knock to you, Brian. I'm sorry, you just happen to be the only man in the room. But what, Rhea?
I was gonna say that since you said that, I was just gonna give my waffle versus spaghetti analogy. It may not be the time. I'll save it if you don't want me to share it.
Okay, I'll finish this and definitely share it because I know what you're going to say. So multitasking is something I think that we're accustomed to doing, especially as women, right? We're a household of women. We always like to say that our dad is always like the odd man out, right? Yeah. And so we're running around here doing 50 things. And I think we're just used to taking care of everything at once. So we're really good at it. But we know that it can be a huge thing. Tora's saying no such thing as multitasking, right? We can do a couple of things, but can we do everything really well at once? Most times,
Is that why? Not. Is that why Tora's saying that? Because of that question? Can we do it well? I'm interested.
Or is it that we think we do it well and that we have to get so many things done, that we have to do so many things at once?
Could be a mix of both.
Because I would say that, I would say that you can do a few small things well when you're multitasking, but when it gets overboard, I think you have to do a couple things. One, here's a tip for anybody that has this problem. You have to learn how to say no, right? When you can tell people no, you already have too many things on your plate, or no, you can't do this right now. That can be like a really valuable 2-letter word, because honestly, you just can't do everything. So Valerie's saying amen, right? So we all know this, like no is not an evil word. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you inconsiderate. It keeps you sane, I think, right? It keeps you sane. So saying no, and then I think just realizing that, hey, yeah, there are times that you can multitask, and sometimes, nope, your total attention is required on one task, and then you just have to hone in on that one thing. So,
yeah, I love the hint of saying no, and sometimes that is a learned behavior, because I know there are a lot of people who have trouble saying no. And, people will ask you to do all kinds of things. And sometimes it is hard to say no, but oftentimes you have to do it for yourself, because if you don't, you'll find yourself saying yes, 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 yes. And then everybody else's stuff gets done. And you're sitting there going, okay, now, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or the weekend is here or whatever. And you haven't gotten the things that you need to get done for yourself. So saying no, like you said, it's not an evil word. It's okay. There are ways to say no that, that don't even use the word no to say no, but it's definitely possible. And so, there are. So, figure out a way to say no. And go ahead, Rhea.
I've been pretty good with this word since birth. So I think I could offer some expertise around it. Am I telling any type of fib?
No.
You are telling nothing but the truth. So Tell us how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is that, like, not only do I have like a strong personality, but this idea of becoming unapologetically like able to stand for what you need to do in your life, stand for what you believe in, is something I've always been very clear about. And I'm like, I'm gonna say no within reason, knowing that I'm sure of myself. I'm a giver. I'm very generous. I always want to be able to share my time, my energy, and my resources, but unapologetically, I will reserve time for myself. And that's something I've become very comfortable with. Maybe I never had to become comfortable with it because I was since coming out of the womb. Like, I'm good saying what I need. And I will be very quick to tell people, well, what I need to succeed is, and I'll fill in the blank. What I need to do my best is, and I'll fill out the blank, right? If I'm on a call and it's lasting too long, I'll say, you know what? I really want to give you my best, but I'm actually hitting my limit right now. In order for me to give you my best, I need some think time. I'm going to have to let you go so I can think, right? And so there's a lot of ways to be able to say no without saying no. And sometimes it's framing it, no. Right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's a good one.
That's right. And that's you all the way.
I'm missing a little bit about what my mom is saying just because I'm having some type of weird delay on my end. I have a feeling she's like agreeing with me.
No, she is. Actually, Mom, Tora asked you a question. She said, how was that for you while she was growing up, Mom? LOL. Right? She's dead on.
Right. I can tell you this, Tora. She knows how to be respectful. And she also knew where the voice of authority came from. And so I am probably myself, her grandparents, her dad, are the people that she knows when she cannot say no to. So the buck stops there. So growing up, if I said, hey, go clean your room or go do this or go do that, she may say no to her sister. She may look at her sister and say no, but no, for me, she had to do it. So it was actually okay, right? You agree?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she definitely.
Glad I came in on that part.
Yeah, she definitely always has an opinion. But I will say that she is really. Oh, yeah. Rhea, give another line or two, because I think that's actually something you actually are really good at. because Aria tells me I'm one of those people that fall into a trap. I mean, I think I'm probably more like Vicky was saying, or Valerie, I'm sorry. Valerie was saying, like, you're still working on that one. No was a hard thing, I think, for me to do for two reasons. One, I kind of like to have control. So I know that I'm a get it done type of person. So if I say yes to everything and I take control, oh, it's going to get done. Like, I might not sleep for a week. I may take on more of the load if it's a project or if it's something, but like it's in my control, so I know it will get finished. But then also, I think I'm really just empathetic, and I'm always like, yes, I can do this. Yes, I'll find out a time to help. And then really and honestly, you can't do it all. But Ria, give a couple more, because you say a lot of terms consistently. Like, what do you say? I'm clear about this. And then I'm sure
that's her, right?
Give us like two more tips or two more phrases that we can use to help us with that.
I think, okay, I'll see if I can think of like at least two that come off the top of my head. That a lot of times growing up, I would be considered somebody that was bossy. And I think being an entrepreneur, I ended up saying, like, I'm not bossy. I'm just kind of like a boss, right? Without sounding cocky, I don't really mean that. It's just like, how do I frame things for people, right? And so one of the things I will say is like, I'm really sure about this, and I'll fill in the blank. I will frame it in a way that lets people know I'm not just kind of speaking out the side of my neck, right? I'm letting people know I've actually built like an authority in a certain area. So I'm talking from a level of expertise. What I know from prior experience is X, Y, and Z. Or what I know about experiencing X, Y, and Z in the past is, and then I can fill in the blank from there. Sometimes that's like speaking from just knowing yourself. People often don't speak from this perspective, so it can throw people off when you say, well, if you really want me to contribute X, Y, and Z, what I'm going to need is 1 hour to do whatever it is that you're saying. I know I'm giving a lot of fill in the blanks, right? But you have to speak from that I perspective. It comes from a place of knowing. And I think that people can trust people who know themselves. There's so many people that have no idea how they work best in what environment, in what circumstance, and under what conditions. But when you can say, I actually know what conditions I work best in, and you can tell people, hey, I'm listening to you, but really what I would need is about 30 minutes to process what I just heard. Can I get back to you? And then I'll be able to bring you my best thoughts. Hey, who can deny that?
That is you.
Right?
That's you. That's you all the way.
Nobody can deny that, right? And you could be bullshitting for really, for all intents and purposes. But when you know yourself, you don't actually have to do that. But it is a good way to say, like, no, this is actually what I need. I know myself. And if you're expecting the best results from me, allow me to tell you how I work best. And then you set the conditions. And I don't think that comes from a place of cockiness. It comes from a place of just knowing yourself.
Exactly.
And
actually, speaking of that, that's a good one, because our dad is huge.
Thank you. I appreciate that one.
Montel is saying no can't be dangerous in different ways, and it can develop trust, which is very true, right? That's mm-hmm. what you were saying. Tora saying, love it. I had to do 2 steps in the air for that one. Here's a takeaway. This is actually a tweetable one, right? Our dad is famous for saying all these like lines that nobody has ever heard of, but they're really good. But he always told us growing up, he was always like, you have to walk with an air of being confident, borderline cocky. So confidence, borderline cocky, I think, gives you the attitude where you can actually speak for yourself, advocate for yourself, say, no, I can't do this. Not in an evil way, like Montel's saying, not in a mean way, but just knowing who you are, knowing how you work best, and knowing what your limits are, right? Mm-hmm. So confidence, borderline cocky may help you in those areas of advocating for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you another one that I use a lot that you made me think of when I thought about when you said that thing about dad. I've used this a lot in business, actually, because what I find is that people really enjoy building relationships with you, right? And they actually enjoy like the human experience of engaging with you in business or just in conversation. What dad used to tell us growing up a lot is like, if you want to close a business deal, like nobody's really going to ask you like, where'd you go to school? Where'd you learn that information? Give me the data. People are closing deals with people they want to have a beer and a steak with. I remember when I was 12, I didn't quite understand what that meant. Dad used to tell us that all the time. Now I get it, right? I only want to close deals with people I actually want to sit down and have a beer and a steak with, right? So we get that now. But when you can bring in like this human element to a conversation, it makes a lot of sense. So a lot of times I actually lean on like old adages that from like our grandparents and our great grandparents used to say. So I actually have some of my business partners saying, hey, I remember that thing your grandfather used to say. I actually had a guy say that to me the other day. No lie. He's never met my grandfather. Okay. But I used to always post this quote that my grandfather would say. And I would actually post different quotes. I'll tell you in a second. But he would say, this guy, no, seriously, no lie. This guy's name is Matt. And he would say, your grandparents have the best quotes. I've known this guy for 8 years. He's never met my grandparents. But he's like, your grandparents have the best quotes. It's only because in conversation, I'll always say something like, hey, you guys, I think we're moving kind of fast here. And I think we should slow down. My dad always says we should hurry up slowly. And it's something that I always took with me. Can we hurry up slowly here? And people are like, whoa, that's a good term. That comes from my dad. Here's another thing that my grandfather would say. He would say this, and then I would reuse it in meetings, right? And I still do. My grandfather would say something like this. Don't go through life pushing on doors that say pull. And people will say, she's brilliant. And I'm like, I'm not brilliant. My grandfather's brilliant. I stole it from him. Right?
I'm tweeting that right now.
Right? But people remember that. And they're like, remember how your grandfather used to say, don't go through life pushing on doors that say pull? Let's not do that thing. And I'm like, exactly. Right? But so we're leaning on this advice. And so that's something else you can do to, number one, build relationships, build respect, build trust. But you're just like taking this old knowledge, right? That's very human. And you're saying like, no, let's slow down. Let's take this old advice. It's not coming from you. It's coming from like, it sounds like a genealogy report and it sounds great. I use that a lot.
And it still works, right? And it still works. It works.
It's brilliant.
Today, just like it worked for them back then. That's right. And they still come up with all those things. Yeah, like it does.
Today and yesteryear.
There you go. Yeah, that's perfect.
Right. I'm silly. But yeah,
that's good.
It works.
No, but you're right. You're right on point. That's so true.
Very, very true.
Don't go through life pushing on doors that say pull. Everyone should tweet.
That's
right.
That's actually I love that one. We actually should make a coffee table book. Good idea. We should make a coffee table book with a lot of those quotes because
that would be cool.
Because there's a billion of them. So, you guys want me to take the next one? What?
No. Hold on. Just one more comment. Okay, so your dad always says, hurry up slowly. And we're talking about distractions. That's so applicable.
Yeah,
so applicable.
It is.
Yeah, regarding distractions. So when you're being distracted, hurry up slowly. And it'll make so much sense. Yes. And then the next thing you know, that distraction will kind of go away. You'll be able to handle it. You'll be able to take it in, a little bit easier. Hurry up slowly. I love it.
Hurry up slowly.
Works.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That means every chaotic thing or disaster doesn't become your next chaotic thing or disaster. Everyone else's emergency doesn't become your emergency. But everyone around you will be like, I have this emergency. I need you to stop. And you're like, no, like your emergency is not my emergency. I need to hurry up slowly, right? I can take it in. I can process it. I can respond to it, but I do not have to like go crazy over it or become so distracted and consumed. Thanks for saying that.
Great advice. Great advice. Do you guys want me to take it on to the next one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So here's one that if you guys chime in, please, you guys, the floor is open. Montel, we have Valerie, Brian, Tora, who else do we have in the room? We have Kayla in the room. Feel free to chime in with this one. But how about being an entrepreneur or just being somebody that has a lot of thoughts and ideas? A lot of times creatives like myself fall into this category. You see infinite possibilities. It's just like, wow, there's so many ideas that you have, so many things that you could possibly do. But, tackling all of those things realistically can be a problem, right? So tackling those things can be can be something that's difficult. That's something that I've found difficult, right? So what do you guys think? Is that something that you fall into as an entrepreneur, coming up with so many ideas and you're so driven because you want to build your business and you want to do all these things? How is that a problem for you? How do you tackle it? I have a couple things that I can share, but I just want to know if that's something that you guys experience.
Us or us. Anybody. Okay. I think that's like a really hard one. Well, that's a really difficult one.
I can tell. Well, you know what? I can tell you for me, is it a hard one? Not necessarily. I really consider it a blessing that I have so many thoughts that are going through my head. My issue oftentimes is remembering them because during the course of a day, I can't tell you how many thoughts I have, and I think, oh yeah, I got to do that, or I should do that, or oh wow, look at that. So I have tried to make it a habit to take this device, right, this phone, and I go to the note section, and whenever I think of something that is applicable to my business, I will, put it in the phone, because if I don't, then I'm on to that next thought, and that could literally be 10 seconds later that I'm off to something else. And those thoughts are not always connected, but they are good. They're really, really good. So a lot of times, I try and think of where those thoughts come from. Are they coming from my imagination, or are they actually coming from something concrete? In other words, how much work will it take for me to actually implement or act on whatever that thought is? And that's how I try to arrange them. But they have to go on a list, because if I don't put them on a list, then they're gone. But I take it as a blessing. It's a good thing, because being an entrepreneur and having so many ideas and so many thoughts that I really want to implement, and oftentimes I don't know how I'm going to implement them. Like, as a matter of fact, Dejan, I told you today, I said, look, I'm really good. I've got all kinds of ideas. I don't always have what it takes to put it in action, but I know what I need to do to get it done. And I know I use my resources well. So I know who I need to go to or where I need to go to find out. So all of those thoughts are a great thing. I love it. My mind is going like, it's going, I don't know, 95% of the day. It is. I love it. That's what I do. It's a good thing.
You're not alone. Those are good points. And I think the sideline, people are mimicking what you're saying too. Brian saying that he has a notepad open on his computer at all times just for that purpose, right? Keeping track of everything.
Right, yes.
And that helps me also. Like for me, I have to actually physically write things down. So it helps me to have a notepad, like a physical notepad to write things down with. Tora, this is a good one, Tora. She's saying that she has a string of text messages that she sends to herself, and she doesn't click read on them until she's going to work on them or to get them on her calendar.
That's great.
So that's a smart one. I like the text message idea.
I like that. Tora, I may do that.
Thing with my email. I do that with email.
I like that.
Yeah. That's true. Like Rhea, you do that with email. I do that sometimes with email, but
I've done it sometimes with email.
It's almost a bad habit I have with email now, because I will go back and mark things unread, so I can't actually track like how many emails I've gotten through, because I read them and then go back and mark them as unread. But I do have
that too.
I send things to myself just to make sure I have it. One thing you didn't say is like who we talk to about our ideas. I can tell you guys this, just you guys know that we're Team Transformation, this mother-daughter team. And all that, Dejan is my identical twin sister. Literally, she's like the yin to my yang, right? When we're together, you guys, Dejan and I, it's so, I don't know if anybody's seen that documentary called Twinsters on Netflix.
Yes.
These are twins who were separated at birth. They found each other as like 22-year-olds. And when they found each other, they were like, oh my God, you're everything I've been missing my whole life. Dejan and I are literally like two peas in a pod, right? Her and I. And when we're together, we feel like we can take a whole breath. And when we're separated, it feels like we're only breathing with like half a lung. I know that sounds so dramatic. It's so true, though.
It's true, though. It's true.
So when we're together, it's like I can take a whole breath. And I can tell you that as incredible as that feeling is, right? It feels like we share a brain. We're like left and right. We work like that. I would tell you that when we have great ideas, we are probably not each other's best thought partner. Our best thought partner is usually our mom. And so when I have a great idea that sparks us, like in our business, as we're working with the three of us, the person we probably both lean on, we might have a great idea and we're like, hey, I had this great idea, da 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 da. But the person we process with is our mom, which is really interesting. And so instead of me making a lot of notes for myself, I will actually call my mom, and she usually is our person who we go to. She is way more experienced than we are. She has way more success. Although we've all found success, she has way more of it than we do, right? And we will go to her, and she's like our litmus test. I'm like, Mom, here's this great idea. Do you think it's good? Do you think I should go with it? Da 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 da. And she's like, gives us the green light or the red light. And she either tells us move forward or pump your brakes. And that's the person we process with. So I don't know if you guys have thought partners or people that you use like that, but we use our mom.
That's a good one.
It is.
I was going to say, that's actually a great segue, because I was just about to introduce other people into the picture. So I guess, Ria, you put that question out there before I could get to it. Who else do you process with? Because sometimes that can really help you when you have all this string of ideas, all these notes everybody's saying. I think everybody's on the same page. Valerie, she's saying that she's, every day writing things down is key in tackling one task at a time. Tora, Brian, everybody's writing things down, all of us. So what if you have this string of things that you want to get done, right? The two maybe most important things you can do is make your big list, really look at it. Maybe it's brainstorming, maybe it's list format, figuring out which ones are the crucial ones to really implement and which ones you actually really want to tackle because you can't do everything.
Right.
And then also really grabbing the ear of somebody else, like you were just saying, how we kind of do with our mom, right? We brainstorm and, kind of take it to her. But maybe it's the fact that maybe you need to get a professional coach, right? Or a professional organizer or somebody that can actually, maybe a personal assistant, somebody that maybe you can hire to maybe help you execute some of these things on your fantastic to-do list.
I have something. I'm going like this because this is like my thinking hands. Okay.
Give us a resource.
These are thinking hands. That's what you call thinking hands. Okay.
So what do you use? Because I know there's some sites out there that can help you. I mean, I want to list something besides Fiverr. Like Fiverr's a one that most people know about. Do you have other ones?
I want to play off of actually what Tora thinks. I want to read hers first. She says, yes, I have an accountability partner that I actually met online. And it's crazy because we'll text each other the same thought at almost the same time. Wow. We say we're twins separated at birth, and somehow we're two different nationalities. Hey,
wow, that's crazy.
What do they say? Like a brother from another mother, right? That's exactly that. Thought partners. That's exactly where I was going with this. I heard this amazing lady speak last week, and this woman speaks, and I just write down a lot of what she says because I'm like, I want to reuse that. And I'm a weirdo who takes crazy notes when people speak that I'm inspired by. And then I do things like I say word bank. And every time I say like an interesting phrase or a word, I capture it on my bank because they're the things that I want to reuse, right? Because I'm like, ooh, that's a great word. So this lady, she said, when you have a great idea or you have a problem, that's when you go back and you go back to your, what did she call it? Your sit team. That's what she called it. So and she's talking about business. She didn't call them a leadership team. She didn't call them like a leadership panel. She said, this is your sit team. So it's like a think tank. She was like, these are people who might be at all different levels of business, all different aspects of your life, but these are the people you sit around with and create ideas, run things by. They are your sit team. I'm like, that's brilliant, right? And so how many of us, I see that like Tora's talking about this one person she has, how many of us have a sit team? I guess we would make up a sit team, right? But how many people have like a team of people they go to? We
definitely are. And I can think back when I was working a 9 to 5 in the office. I don't know that we considered it a sit team, but our executive team, we would have our round tables all the time. And that's a place where we could come and we could really, either love each other or battle it out. I mean, that was our round table. So no matter what project we were working on or what was going on in the office, we sat there at that round table and solved issues or problems, or we walked away agreeing to disagree or whatever it is. But those were still people that we could feel safe, that we could speak our mind. And we did just that. So you can call it, I guess we could call that a sit team, but it's effective to have that because, when you're dealing with other minds and other people that don't think the same way you do, there are always things that are going to, come out of mouth and onto table that you may not thought of, that you may agree with or disagree, but that's the time to, kind of set out. So yeah, sit team, that's cool. That's good. It works because your one mind, sometimes your one mind can do it all, but most of the time hearing some energy from other people, it's a good thing. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I love it. That was a good one. Thanks for bringing that up. Sit team. I think we all learned something new just by the sidelines. I like that. So I think
I like the terminology, sit team. That's cool.
Totally. So Ria, what else do you, Ria just jumped out. No, there she is. jump on. I know you have a couple other points. So what are some ones from your list? I'm gonna not be a control freak and list them all. We have a few more for you guys. So hang in there with us. Continue to share. Thank you for sharing on your social networks. I see the Twitter shares and Facebook shares coming through. I see people joining us in. I think Alex just joined. Forever Montel just joined. So thank you guys. We appreciate it. Because it's a community, we're learning from each other. So this is really good, and it's great to meet new faces and see old faces.
Absolutely. So before I move forward, Tor is talking about Richard Carlson's book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and the last chapter is Stop Broadcasting Your Thoughts. That's really valuable, right? One of the things I would add about that is, it's something that I've encountered many times in business, where I've thought, wow. Although I consider myself an introvert, there are times where I'm not afraid to use my voice. And there are instances where I'm like, oh my goodness, this year in particular, or this season, this time period, my voice has been heard a lot. I need to quiet it because it almost becomes overused, right? And there's a time to broadcast your thoughts, and there's also a time to actually just lay low and be a little quiet so that when you do speak, it's meaningful. And people can hear you. They're not hearing all of your
clutter.
Does that make sense?
I think so. No, go ahead, Mom.
No, I was just going to say it definitely makes sense. And when you're sitting in a space with people who are doing that, you can usually pick that out because they are all over the place, and everything that is in their head comes out of their mouth. It's not always pertinent. It's not, it's not always relevant, but you've got to then sift through that. And oftentimes, because, I'm fairly, introverted as well. So oftentimes I sit there and I literally picture, like a flour sifter, like when you make cake and you sift flour. And I don't say it, of course, but oftentimes I'll think, you know what, can you just sift through what you're saying? Because, sometimes we don't want to actually have to deal with all of everybody else's clutter. Just sit back, like you said, quiet yourself, say the things that are thought through and relevant, and not always everything that's in your head.
That's right.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
I guess in addition to that, I know Tora was saying earlier, just about who you're even sharing your thoughts with, right? Because everybody doesn't have your best interest at heart. Everybody doesn't want to be a part of or contribute to your success, right? And so I think choosing the people that we actually are going to be broadcasting our thoughts to and sharing our dreams and visions, that has to be chosen carefully, right?
That's
because
right.
Everybody's not always on our side. And so I think that's a big part of even staying a part of these networks, like online here on Blab, getting in conversations with people that are like-minded on Periscope, whether it's your Facebook groups or your friends that you meet up with in person, surrounding yourself with these like-minded people, that's going to be like a safe place where you're going to have people that support your dreams, your visions, and they can help you reach those goals, not people that are going to try to sabotage. Because that does exist, right? Unfortunately.
Oh, it happens. It does.
So, unfortunately.
It does. Yeah. And unfortunately, it happens in so many different arenas. It happens in the workplace, right? It happens even in families. It happens, amongst entrepreneurs that are teams trying to work together. It happens in the classroom. It happens all over. And so, it is unfortunate. Sometimes I like to sit back and just watch personalities kind of, mesh together or not meld together. And you just kind of, again, sit back and just watch that thing go. And it's very interesting sometimes. Sometimes you will find two people that are very, very opposite, and sometimes they can come together. It may take days, it may take weeks, it may even take years. This is especially in the workplace. To watch something like that happen is fascinating. So, yeah, I love it.
I would say that this idea that Dejan was bringing up earlier, just about not getting distracted, staying focused, really concentrating and having a higher level of consciousness about how you're sharing your ideas and who you're sharing them with, it relates to workflow in such a major way, right? Because we have to be so intentional about our time, especially as entrepreneurs. in a way that when you're working a 9 to 5, and those of you who can identify with working a 9 to 5 or in any traditional setting where you're working for someone else, they do a lot of dictating for you, where you can set your meetings, how you can set them, when you have to clock in, when you clock out, if you get overtime, if you don't, all these things, right? As an entrepreneur, you have like all of this free range, and
Right.
it can be scary. It's freeing, but it can be scary also because you have to set these parameters for yourself. One of the things that I think about is, what do we do with our time? How do we not get distracted? And how do we make sure that we're like sharing value when we're meant to share value and holding on to things we're supposed to hold on to? And I think about all of the times that we have to like get onto live sessions, meet with clients, hold meetings, whether our sit teams or with clients or with anyone else that we need to do business with. And I also think about the time in between those meetings, right? I think that people like Brian, who I know is an entrepreneur, really grinding out every single day. And so many of you that are on here now, what are these in-between times looking like for you? That's a question that I have. Or I guess it's something or a thought that I raise. One of the things that I would say is, one of the best ways that we can concentrate on being thoughtful about how we use our time, where we share our thoughts, is what happens in these in-between spaces. One of the things I would offer as what I would call like an offering, not something you have to do, but it's an offering, right? Is consider booking your appointments like back to back. Sometimes we're like, oh, I'll take a morning appointment, then an afternoon, and then an evening. And then we're left with this in-between time where we're trying to like catch up on tasks. We're trying to read these emails. We're trying to catch up on our social media. We're trying to do all these things in between that we never actually get to complete because we're like, oh, it's time for that next meeting to start. What would it look like if we were saying, I just want to book morning appointments. And in the mornings, I do all my appointments. And in the afternoon, I dedicate my time to all of these other things so I can actually begin something and then complete it. I don't know if that makes more sense for the entrepreneur who really is in control of the 24 hours they have in a day, but it's something I would give as an offering to really limit the number of distractions that we experience. It allows us the time to say, I'm cutting off social media so I can concentrate on my meetings. And then I'm cutting on social media so I can just do social media and concentrate there. Does that make sense to you guys?
I think so.
I think it
You think
does.
so, or you know so?
I think it does make sense, Aria, for the personality and work style and lifestyle has a lot to do with how you have to organize and schedule your day. But for you, if that works, that's great. I have, I'll give you this example. Your dad checks his email all day long and all night long. I mean, he's always, if he's not in front of the laptop, he's got it in his hand with his, phone. For me, I don't do that because, and I never have because it will consume you if you have the type of work that you're constantly getting emails thrown at you. Most people are not expecting an immediate response to their email. And so for me, I'll set I will typically set 3 times during the day. I'll say, okay, at 8 o'clock, I'll look at emails for a half an hour. At 1 o'clock and at 5 o'clock, I'll do it. Every now and then, I'll do it before I go to bed. But I have set times that I will, look at my email. But for some people, for him, and I've tried to get him to change, well, that's not happening. And I've said to him, I can't believe that you sit there and you respond to emails all day long. He probably gets about 2 times more emails than I do. But I can't get him to recognize that I think that he needs a schedule for that. So, I don't know.
So you're
I
saying it's like a whatever
idea.
your boat type of thing?
Whatever works for you. Not whatever because whatever boat you need. But whatever works for you and your workflow. We've got stay-at-home moms who are working, but they've got kids that are at home as well. So everybody can't have that kind of regimented, rigid schedule every day. Okay. But for some people that works. Some people need to kind of flow in and out. But if you know what that flow is and it works for you, then that's okay. I just think you need to find whatever your groove is, you've got to find it. It's got to work for you. You have to be able to accomplish the things and the goals that you've set forth, but you need to find out what it is that works for you. So for some people, kind of, being loosey-goosey and, if that works, that works, personalities, workflow, lifestyle, all of those things are factors. So
I love how you broke that down. You guys, anybody that just joined us, this is our mom, Sonia. She's pretty amazing. My twin sister, Deja.
I appreciate that.
And I like what she just did, right? So I said, like, are you saying it's like whatever floats your boat? And she's like, no, Aria, I'm not saying whatever floats your boat. I'm saying whatever works for you. And then she, like, let us know what the difference was between what floats your boat and what works for you. That's the kind of direction we need in our life. And that's why she is, like, our number one go-to person when we have an idea. And she lets us know, green light, go forward, red light, pump your brakes, right? So I appreciate that, right? Because it's not just about like whatever you like to do. Sometimes it is about what works, right? And if you have kids in your life, it's not about whatever floats your boat. It's about like what works with your schedule and your kid's schedule and your family's schedule. So I like, and I appreciate the fact that you broke that down. Because I think that 2 minutes ago, I saw them as the same thing and you enlightened me in 2 minutes. And now I don't see them as the same thing.
That's good.
And now she's wondering if you're actually joking or you're serious.
I'm serious. I'm dead serious. No, I'm being
sarcastic, right?
No, whatever floats your boat and then what works for you are actually two very separate things. But 2 minutes ago when I raised that, when I said, so you're saying it's like whatever floats your boat, I was really thinking like whatever works for you. Yeah, they're the same thing. What you're saying is no, it's actually not the same thing. Right. Do what works for you, not necessarily like what you might actually prefer, but what is working for you.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, well, to break away from that for just a second, here's a fact that I shared on Periscope earlier. And guys, we're going to wind this down because it's actually 10:22. I didn't realize it was so late. So we're going to wind this down in just a second with just, maybe one or two more tips. But once you get distracted throughout your day, the average person, it actually takes 23 minutes, 23 minutes to get back to your original task.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So once you that interrupts you, once you have that phone call or that email, like you were just saying, like if you stop and respond to that email right then and there, instead of just scheduling time for it, it's going to take you 23 minutes to get back to your task. And that's for a lot of reasons. It's sometimes because if you're in a workplace, somebody might, slop a new pile of things to do on your desk. And it may interrupt like your workflow of what you have in front of you, right? Where you were organized before that person showed up and you had your papers organized in a certain flow. Then somebody kind of throws you off, asks you a question, gives you a new set of something to put on your desk. Or they ask you to do something or you get a phone call or an email and you open up like a whole new desktop, and you have new things that just weren't there before. That thing can throw you off. You have to go back and find where you were. And so 23 minutes, that's really, really crazy. So I just wanted to throw that out there just so you knew like really how important and how much time distractions take away from us.
Mm-hmm.
And then one helpful thing I wanted to throw out there was, maybe take the idea or take the approach of finishing all of your projects at hand, like finish those first, then go back and tackle all of those small distractions that kind of hit you along the way. So all the dings from your Twitter accounts, all the emails that came through, address those later, finish your task at hand. And if you absolutely have to, turn off those push notifications. I have to do that actually for Periscope a lot, because there's a lot of people talking about some great things and I want to see it. I actually schedule time to actually get that Periscope push notifications.
Right.
Because I can't do it all day,
Yeah.
There's just too many people. So I would say jump into something like that and maybe mimic what you're saying, figure out what works best for you. But finish the task.
I'm in the same boat. Those push notifications like that can go literally all day. I actually have to turn that kind of stuff off. And at night, I specifically, like, in order to sleep, I have to turn those things off.
Mm-hmm,
oh, totally.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm stuck on the 23 minutes. I think that's crazy, but that's probably about right because, 23 minutes, that's a lot of time taken out of your day. If it happens, if those distractions happen several times a day, which for me, they do, oftentimes they do. I wonder if there's a way to actually track how many distractions we have during the course of a day, or the time, for basically the time that it does take away from each of us individually. I wonder if there's a way to track that. That's pretty interesting.
I don't know. There is.
But that's a lot of time.
I had that written down actually, because there is an app that you can go to. Somebody suggested an app on the sidelines. Oh, gettingthingsdone.com is a way to manage
thank you for
your
saying
time.
that. I wanted to go back to that. Thanks.
Oh, that's cool.
definitely a great one. There's a time
Getting
tracker.
things
It's
done.
called Rescue Time, and I'm just reading this from my notes. But anyway, track your time to see how much time you're wasting or spending, maybe not wasting, but spending on different activities so you can really observe it and like take note on where you need to cut back.
Toodledoo.com. Okay. That's
a
another
good one.
What'd you say,
site.
Rhea? Which one?
Brian's comment. Toodledoo.com.
Okay.
Ooh, and
That's
Tora
another
saying
one.
Tora says put a penny in a cup every time you get distracted.
That is good too.
That's Scott's and Bacon. Who says this? Not Tora.
No. Tora did. Got it. Scott said that. Scott's and Bacon. Tora says that she has her settings turned off of Periscope until the evenings. Yeah.
Yes.
Periscope will take up your entire day if you don't watch yourself. Set limits. You have to, because it's fun and it's
That's
addictive.
cool. Yeah. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Brian. And thanks, Tora. Those are all good.
Definitely.
It's like the swear jar, right? Like every time you say a curse word, you put a penny in the jar or a quarter. Like you become very conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you guys, if anybody wants to jump in the hot seat and add something, or just say, hey, you're more than welcome to. We have a seat for you right here. It's friendly. But you guys, Aria, Mom, if you guys want to add something else, we should probably wrap this up soon.
You guys, let's just say like the hot seat, we call it the hot seat. If you're just joining us tonight, it's our open seat, right? We just like to call it something else. The hot seat for us is really friendly, but it's a place for us to engage. There's no reason to be on here if we're just going to talk to each other, because we can do that on a private session, the three of us, right? And we could all FaceTime each other. But the beauty of getting on here and engaging with you guys is to actually see some faces, talk, and just like take our conversation further. Make sure we're building connections. So jump into the hot seat. If it's your first time and you haven't been on camera yet, let us be like your introduction to getting on camera for the first time. We found that less than 1%, maybe it's not less than 1%, right?
It is. Of all
it is. It's less than 1%.
So less than 1% of people who are actually on Blab or on platforms like Periscope are actually getting in front of the camera. What that means is like 99% of people are just watching people like us, and we're the 1%ers. And I'm really proud to say I'm finally part of the 1%er club, right? But on this platform, we're like a part of the 1%ers, right? We're actually on camera. So if you're nervous about that, if you've never done it, just jump into the hot seat, and I promise after the first time it gets so much easier.
That it does.
Yeah, let us see your face, smile at us, let us smile at you, and let's have a conversation for even like a minute.
And you know what?
I hear Brian putting Scott out there. I see Go Scott. I see Go Tora.
Yeah. Go Tora. Right.
I like
you guys
that.
Know, I built my background in education. That looks like peer pressure, but I think you guys should like cave in and just jump in the hot seat right now.
I'll put up a question, and you guys tell me how you feel about this. You guys know we all have very different backgrounds. I've made my career as an artist, as a production designer for film and television. So creating sets and working on TV shows and whatnot, and being a freelance artist. So I've always done art. What I love most about that, and like kind of doing something that I'm passionate about, is that I set my own schedule. I do what I want to do. And most importantly, that means not working in a cubicle. All right. So like the first time I ever had to work at a cubicle was actually when I worked for NBC. And that was just the way the office was set up. Like I had my little area. But that was my first cubicle ever in life. Okay. I was over 30 years old. All right. And it was crazy. I'm like, I have all these little drawers and all this stuff. It felt very uncomfortable. You know, I had all these other people around. I'm used to just operating on my own flow, stepping in when I need to step in, going to set when I need to go on set. If I live on location, usually I have a little setup in my, housing or wherever I am. And so I say that to say that there's, I guess, this taboo in corporate America, and you guys can probably relate, but the closing the door policy, okay? I'm a door closer. I need to be in a confined space to be able to create and do my work. And one of the notes I had on here was something that actually Stephen King, the writer, suggested, was that when he had to get creative, that he needs to close the door. And so you guys can tell me, does that help you like get out distractions and shut everybody else out? Because I know that it definitely helps me, and it's been something that I have advocated for my entire career. I need to be by myself kind of sometimes and shut the door and not feel like it's rude. So you guys tell me your thoughts.
I'm going to let people answer.
And I guess a cubicle doesn't really have a door, but it's still like one of those confining settings that I just never got used to.
Montel is giving an interesting response.
Yeah,
Montel,
I was just gonna read that.
I do not want to put you on the spot. So absolutely, you do not have to like respond. It's like one of those safe questions, but jump into the hot seat. It's a safe invitation, I guess is what I should say. If you want to talk more about that, because I just really would love to hear your voice behind what you're saying. I'll read out loud what you're saying, and that will give you some think time as to whether you want to respond and jump into the hot seat. But you're saying life has distractions that we can't handle, but we have personal faith, which allows me to create a range of solutions and ideas to climb above limits and distractions. Montel, if you feel like you want to respond, tell us more. It sounds like you have something a little bit more inspirational behind your message, right? Maybe something that can be lifted off the screen, because I'm probably not doing your words justice. But you're talking about this higher level of consciousness that I'm always talking about. You're talking about a life calling. You're talking about like rising above challenges, and it's all through faith. I just love to know what perspective you're coming from and who you are. I want to know more about you. I'm intrigued now. I like that answer.
I just want to interrupt. Yeah, Brian, I think Brian left us, or he is leaving. I think
Brian left us.
Aww.
He had a client to take care of.
Yeah, he had a client he had to talk to.
He said, sometimes I miss the 9 to 5. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, he doesn't miss it. As Montel is responding to Ria's question out there, I'll just say that Scott had a good one. He said, we have a door hanger at work, and if it's displayed, it means do not disturb.
That's right.
And I like that one.
I'm a door closer. I tend to, I used to say this thing, like, you know, I haven't talked too much on this session just about my background, but I built my background in education as a school leader, like really transforming schools in New York City, and kind of like some more difficult environments. And I would always tell people, my door is always open, even if it's closed. That's something I used to always say. And I really meant that, but I am a door closer because I think sometimes you do need that quiet space to really think and perform. As an entrepreneur, I need that space away from like family, friends, distractions, whatever it is. I've always needed that space to actually like just say like I'm like off limits, whether it's a Saturday, whether it's an evening. I'm like I need to not be interrupted so I can actually think and do, right? But it's something that I think I carried in a professional sense, working in a school environment, but also as an entrepreneur. I agree.
Sure. Yeah. I can appreciate that for sure. I can tell you, for me, I'm definitely a door closer. My career for over 25 years was in human resources, running human resources departments, which can be very chaotic, very stressful, very, very busy. And I'll say it for the second time on this go, that I'm a pretty introverted person. So for me, closing that door wasn't necessarily always to think or to give myself space to think, but sometimes it was just to be alone. Sometimes I just closed that door because I didn't necessarily want to see the people that were on the outside of the door. So a lot of times I would close my door even for 15 minutes just to say, hey, the door is closed. That means you're really not welcome on this side right now. 90% of the day, though, because I was always in demand and always, people were always needing or wanting my attention for whatever reason. So 90% of the day, my door needed to be open. But when I felt that need to close my door, then my door closed. And you know what? I'm okay with that because that's me. I don't always need the tick-tock of other people around me. Sometimes I just need to be alone. Not to think, but just to be alone. So.
See, I like that. And I thought about it when I worked at NBC. The fellow designer that I work with, my partner in crime, as we used to say, we do props, we do set design. So I had access to some really great curtains. And I actually thought about putting a curtain up on my cubicle. I thought that would be taken as a bit rude. So we didn't do that. But if I had a door, I would have loved to close it. It wasn't for me. A little bit too old.
That's hilarious. I love it.
The environment makes a difference. It depends on the environment.
You got to have a door.
I agree with Scott. That's right. Yes. I agree with Scott. Absolutely.
You need to be comfortable with shutting out the world and focusing on what you're doing. I totally agree. Yeah, you guys, if I could say this, as entrepreneurs, I think that like even Scott gives us this thing that says you have to be comfortable with shutting out the world and focusing on what you're doing. I think that's like a mantra almost for entrepreneurs, right? Who need to like really hone in on what it is they're passionate about, what they're trying to give to the world, what solutions they're trying to create, right? What
Yes.
answers you're trying to give to all the questions people are answering. Your best
Mhm.
entrepreneurs are really your most successful entrepreneurs are asking questions, right? Or they're answering questions that people are asking, right? They're the other end of
Mhm.
people's Google searches, as we would say, as online marketers, right? And entrepreneurs. So I would say that's like a really important note that he's making is that we have to be very comfortable with shutting out the world and focusing on what we're doing, right? It's the only way that we can continue to add value, especially on an online space. And I know tonight we didn't give like the tips and tricks that sometimes we do, especially on Thursday nights for our entrepreneurs out here who are building their businesses and hacking their hustle online. But I would say that that focus is incredibly important to the work that we're doing. So,
I agree. And I actually just tweeted that because that was a really great last tweet for tonight's Blab session.
Mhm.
yeah,
So be
Yeah.
Scott,
comfortable
thank you.
shutting out the
Good. That's a good
world.
one.
Definitely. So thanks,
Thanks,
Scott and
Scott.
Bacon
That's great. Yes.
for adding that. So Patrick Sanders just joined, and Montella is responding to us. So hey, Patrick, and let's go ahead and read Montella's before we close out. Um, um, he says he's from London, UK, but grew up in South Africa and is currently studying architecture and motivating young people in my
Oh,
ministry. Awesome.
Wonderful.
wow. That is
Oh,
an awesome, awesome background. Wow. I
you're
love
doing a
it.
lot.
So, Montel, you have to know that we're following you now, and we did put out the call today. You don't have to answer it, but in another blab, we would love for you to join us and actually get on so we can actually like see you face to face.
No problem.
You're
No
working right
pressure.
now. We totally get it, right? But on another time, and then we can also talk about South Africa. We have a lot of friends, Dejan and I. I have a friend right now who's currently in South Africa, and then another friend that just got back from South Africa. She was performing in an annual festival celebrating Fela and his life and musical career. But I would love to get on with you and talk about South Africa on another date and time. You sound very
Definitely.
interesting.
And that door is open to
Mhm.
anybody that's on here, guys. We That's the fabulous thing I think about this online community is that we've met so many great people from all different backgrounds. And the beauty is that we can all learn from each other, like globally, right?
That's
So I'm sure
right.
you guys can
Yeah,
That's
all
right.
agree.
absolutely.
So everybody that's in the room, the invitation stands. I will be following you all on Twitter tonight. We'll be following you here. The invitation stands for you guys to follow us back if you like. You can always check out our blog at asideofchange.com. And so Aria actually will type that in there. It's asideofchange.com. And that's really just our collective voice as far as our entrepreneurial spirits go. And we motivate people really just to live their best life. And we live by the mantra of it's never too late to change at any stage or any age in life. It's all about connecting with the right people, connecting with the right tools, and the right resources that are going to help you take your life or your goals to the next level. And
That's right.
that's really what
That's
it's all
right.
about. We are people's people, and we are on a mission. We're women on a mission, and we're people's people. We believe that everybody has what it takes to succeed. Right?
That's right.
It's all
That's
about just
right.
tapping into it.
And,
So
and it is,
And
and that's so true. Every word that just came out of your mouth is so very, very true. That is who we are. That is what we believe. And I just want to thank everybody for giving us their time tonight, because as we
yeah,
talked about distractions, the very last thing that I'm going to say is this. We all have 24 hours in a day, right? And we know, as we just discussed tonight, that during that 24-hour period, that we do receive our, vast number of distractions. So I just want to thank everybody who was on this blab with us tonight for giving us some of your 24 hours during the day. So
yes,
I'm going to leave it at
definitely.
that. Yeah.
One of the last things I would say to you guys is that as mom is talking about 24 hours in a day and how we all have a responsibility to use them, right? And thanking you guys, I echo that. My sister talked about just who we are as bloggers, right? Entrepreneurs. My mom, my sister, and I have our hands in a lot of different pots, and we've been entrepreneurs for a long time. We've been living passionately for a really long time, and it's such a blessing. Thanks to this woman who I
Mm-hmm.
think you guys are seeing on the bottom of your screen. Our mom really is the one who taught us how to live passionately. since we were little girls. She really told us to like go after our dreams. She's the one that told my sister, you can actually be an artist and you don't have to be that thing they call a starving artist. You can make money being an artist, right? Our mom told us to go out there and tackle life. And one of the things that we talk about all the time, one of the things we blog about all the time is turning your passions into profit. And I would just say that that's also a big piece of who we are, right? Because we all have to eat. We all have to drink good wine, okay? And in order to do that, you need to actually make a profit. There's no reason why you can't turn your passion into a profit and then live life the way you really intended to live life. So I just want to kind of like end with that, because that's what allows us to keep smiling every day, because we're not only passionate about what we do, we can make a profit doing it. We're really big givers. We love our community. We love people. And that allows us to just keep doing the same great thing over and over again every day, and then get higher and higher every single year. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. I can't say enough, so I'll stop now.
All right, guys.
That's good.
So have a blessed night. Have a safe night. And we will be back on here Thursday, this Thursday at 8 p.m. We'll be on with another Hack Your Hustle session. And usually Thursday is our day to kind of talk to one of our specific audiences. So Rhea is usually talking to educators and teachers that want to monetize their skills outside the classroom. I'm usually talking to artists and people that want to learn how to be creative, and actually make a profit and turn their passion into profit. Mom is always on here talking to people that are really just tired of corporate America and need to make a transition so that they can have a better quality of life, or people that are just kind of struggling in network marketing. So one of us will be on here talking to one of those markets. And so if that's you, then make sure you join us. If it's not you, still join us, just for support and love. And you never know where you're going to learn something new. But until then, have a great week, and, hopefully take some of these tips that we gave you tonight to hone in and have a really productive day tomorrow.
Thanks for blessing us tonight. This was an awesome Tuesday. This was really great.
Really
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
It absolutely was. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you on Thursday night. Can't wait.
Thursday at 8 o'clock, right?
Yep. Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Changing it. Not 9 o'clock, but 8 o'clock. Okay.
8 o'clock on
Thanks,
Thursday.
guys.
8 o'clock.
We love you.
Yep.
Bye. I love you guys. Thank you. I miss you.
I love you too, and I miss you too.
Bye.
I know.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
My end of the house is like really lonely. I'm all by myself.
I'm sorry. My corner of New York is lonely, but anyway.
All right.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, you guys.